In this tutorial, we are going to go over the kind of basic techniques of turning a flat 2D logo, like on the left here, into a three-dimensional looking logo like the one on the right here. These techniques can be used with virtually any logo object that you might want. So I'm using the Blender 3D logo as my demonstration logo. You can easily find this on the web if you just search Blender 3D logo. Otherwise, you can pick a logo of your own choosing to go through this tutorial with me. Yeah, this will give this kind of glossy, buttony, three-dimensional look to the logo. So let's get started by, you will most likely have an image from the web that you copied. So first thing we'll need to do is to draw or trace the logo to get our various objects. I'm going to do this by creating just kind of generic shapes to start with. It's kind of how I like to build out logos and objects that I'm working with. But yeah, I will do this quickly. So if you grabbed a random logo from the web, you'll want to go ahead and basically trace all the various shapes within your logo of your choosing. Okay, now that I have the logo drawn into its three separate objects here, I'm going to just move the original bitmap image out of the way because we don't really need it. We'll just have it here for visual reference. Now we're just going to apply our colors to the various objects here. Whites. Send both of those behind it. And then the blue. Okay. Just a quick note. These colors are their official Pantone colors. This must be an old logo with a slightly lighter orange and blue, so don't worry about that. Actually, I need to check something here quick. Yeah, that's what I thought. So when I was playing with the nodes over here, sometimes when you create a circle shape and then merge it and weld it with other objects and do some manipulation, sometimes these curves can get out of whack, so we'll just make sure it's on smooth and just fix this curve here. Change this to smooth. Holding down shift. Just make sure that we got a nice smooth curve. Alright. Yeah, that looks good. Alright, now we'll move this off. These gray. Make sure everything's set to the correct layers here so that the blue's going to be on the topmost then the white be right behind it, and then the orange object the furthest back. Once you have that done, I'm just going to go ahead and remove the stroke from the object. I only needed that for when I was drawing the object, so I could see my lines and making sure everything was aligning correctly. Okay. So the first thing we want to do is we want to create let's work with the blue layer first. First thing we want to do is create a kind of inner darker gradient. So we're going to use the contour tool to offset in a little bit. This is somewhat subjective, so feel free to use kind of the offset settings and distance that you think looks good with your logo. So that looks good to me. So once you have that, we're just going to hit Control K on the keyboard to separate the offset here from the original object. And what we're going to do is apply the same blue color here to this new object, and then we're going to hit F11 on the keyboard to bring up our gradient fill. And what I want to do is select that same blue here, but then we're going to go ahead and darken the darker color for it. Once you have that done, just click OK, and we want our gradient to be going vertically. So with the object still selected, if you hit G on your keyboard, it brings up the interactive fill tool, and we just want it going from top to bottom here, so it looks like it kind of blends right at the top here. The next thing we want to do is create our kind of highlight on this center blue object. So with this object still selected, we're just going to hit plus on the keyboard to duplicate the object in place, and we'll just add white to it as a solid fill, and we are going to kind of adjust this shape. So using the anchor nodes here on the selection, just merge up, and then if you just click one and drag on the side, it'll squish and skew it to that side, but if you hold down shift while doing it, it'll constrain both sides evenly, and that's what we want. So we're going to roughly about so, and then with it still selected, select the transparency tool, and we just want to kind of give it a nice kind of high gloss look. So something like that. We might tweak it a little bit down towards the end, but for now that looks okay. The next thing we want to do is basically recreate similar kind of offsets for the other two objects, the white and the orange one. So if we select our white object, go back to our contour tool, which should still be the most current tool in this little flyout selected here. Select that. Your settings should all still be the same, so if you just click the inside contour button here and hit Control K, it gets us this side, or this outer kind of offset here. we need to create an inner one to get the look we're going for. So because this is a solid object, we want to select our blue and just do the opposite contour effect by going to the outside contour button to get that same kind of contour offset here. So hit Control K to separate the objects. Now select both contour kind of offset shapes that you just created, and we just want to combine them into one solid shape. And you can see that's just, it cuts out that center portion that we have, and we're going to give it a kind of a darker black fill for now. And now we want to basically do that same process to get this object here that we did on the white. We want to do the same thing for the orange, so we'll go ahead and do our inside contour to get that first shape. Hit Control K once you have that, and select the white object, and you're gonna do the outside contour again and hit Control K, and we're gonna do the same thing, select both contour objects and combine them into one solid object. Once we have that, we're going to leave it for now. We want to now create our kind of three-dimensional look by creating the kind of curved highlight shadow kind of separation. So I'm just using the generic ellipse tool to here to kind of create kind of the dome that we want for our kind of lower shadowed part. This might, depending on your logo, you know, you might have to play around with this to get kind of the kind of ideal curve that doesn't that works with the various, I don't know, outlines of your object. It can be a little tricky sometimes depending on the logo, but once you have that, what we're going to do is select with this we're going to basically use this as a slicing object for these two contour shapes. So with that selected, if you select this outer orange contour object, and what we want to do first is we want to intersect the two objects. And the way CorelDraw works is that for the Pathfinder tools, you want to select your kind of trimming, slicing object first, then the object that is going to get trimmed or sliced second. And then, so we want to hit the intersect button, and that gives us just this portion of this full contour object here. And we'll just give it a different color for now, just so that we can see that it's there. And you can see this is still intact, the original objects. Now we want to select the trim object again, and then select the full contour object again, and this time we want to trim off basically that bottom part that's where the green is. So we click the button, now we have the original contour object trimmed off into this new unique piece here. So we have just two separate pieces. So with that, what we're going to do here is this top one is going to, they're both going to get to start with the orange fill. And now we want to give this contour object kind of a lighter gradient effect from the top down to the center. So again, with this object selected, hit the F11 on your keyboard and select the gradient node here, object, and we want to sample the original color, and we're going to give it kind of a lighter color that's in the same family, I guess. And let's see, it'll go a little lighter than that. Yeah. Yep. Once you have that, go ahead and hit OK, and we're going to hit G on our keyboard again to bring up our gradient tool, and basically we want these tips at the top to have the lighter color, and we want to make sure that these bottom parts of the object still show the original orange color so that it looks like it blends into this outer full object. You can adjust that. So once you have kind of your gradient in a good spot that looks nice, we're actually going to, we want to get just a little bit more, little kind of top edge look here. And now we're basically going to do the same thing for this bottom piece here. If you hit F11 on the keyboard, except this time we want to get a darker gradient. So this time we'll get a little darker there. Once you have the colors that you like, go ahead and hit OK, and again grab the interactive fill tool with the G on the keyboard, and we just want our shadow to be most dominant near the top. Yeah, I think that looks nice. So yeah, so that gives us our kind of colors and gradients for the outer orange part. Now we want to select our trim slice tool or shape and the white contour object, and we're just gonna hit the intersect button again, and we don't need a top portion for this part. So once you have that intersected piece, go ahead and select the original one and just hit delete. And for this, we're just going to use the transparency tool to give kind of our gradient highlight shadowing on the white part. So once you have that, we can just move this off to the side. We probably won't need that again, but just in case, I like to move various objects that may be needed in their exact placement through the transform panel, just by specific increments, just so it's easy to get it back in place if I should need it. Next thing I want to do is we want to basically do our real like shine highlight part for this piece as well. So we're just going to duplicate that object again by hitting plus on the numpad and give it a white fill, and we're going to use the transparency tool to give us our kind of real highlight. Once you have that, now we want to give the impression of kind of a slight bevel along the outermost edge of the entire logo here. So what we're going to do is, again, select the outermost object. It should be the furthest most back object at this point anyways. So go ahead and grab the contour tool again, and we're going to do an inside contour, but we just want to reduce that down so it's just a minimal looking bevel. And I think that looks good. So once you have kind of the distance you like for that beveled effect, go ahead and hit Control K on the keyboard, and we need to duplicate the original orange object so that we can combine it with that new contour shape. So go ahead and hit plus on the numpad, grab the contour shape and combine it. So now we have a solid bevel right now, and you could go with this look if you like. I want to give it make it seem like it's catching our light source, so I'm going to go ahead and just give it a white fill, and then I'm going to use the transparency tool again to kind of give us our highlight on the edge here, so that you get kind of that white highlights up on the top here but not so much down here, and you can play with that to the angle, how long it is, to just give it a different effect. But I also would want to do the same thing down on the bottom of the logos as if it's catching light from a reflection. So if you select that highlight object and hit plus again, grab the transparency tool, and we'll just do it from the bottom this time. So, and it's a little hard to tell, so we'll just create a square object and give it a solid gray fill so you can see kind of how strong the highlight is and what you might want to do with it. And you can just play around with that to get a different and a better look, I guess. I'm going to move this to give a little bit more highlight on this outer piece here. I think that looks good. So yeah, that's pretty much it. You can kind of modify kind of all of these steps based on your logo and kind of the look you're going for, but the steps are relatively the same regardless. So yeah, you can turn basically any 2D logo that you might have into a three-dimensional looking logo and give it a little bit more dynamic appeal, I guess. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and share this video. It will help to grow this channel and allow me to provide more content. See you in the next video.